Okay, we're back here at the 422nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop on Thursday, March 3rd, 2022. Mr. Kesh, are you there? And how would you like to begin the second part of this show?
Yes, sorry, I had to find my headphone. We are ready to go if there is any more questions or...
Okay. We have a couple of hands up here, Cristiano and Dean. Cristiano, would you like to go first?
Hello, Rick. Sr. Kesh, tradução do Brasil, Rafael.
You need a translator, I think. Or what was that? There's Raphael.
Yes.
Hey, hello.
Hi, Raphael, we hear you.
Rick. Ok, Cristiano, pode falar, por favor.
Só um minuto, Rafael, eu vou ativar o microfone aqui. Eu gostaria de perguntar para o Sr. Kesh a respeito do, assim como os campos de energia, né, do GANS, flui, a gente consegue conter esses campos de energia através de um loop infinito e assim tocar nessas energias para conter um plasma livre?
So the question from Cristiano, if I understood correctly, is as the fields of energy we create in the GANs, they have a huge flow. Can we contain these fields through by creating an infinite loop for us to use this energy?
Energy of what? The ganses?
That's what I understood. Let me confirm it, Christian. A energia do que, Cristiano? Dos GANs? Para você conter nesse loop infinito? Seria a energia dos GANs?
Isso.
Yes, from the GANs.
We can contain any energy. The stars do it. We do it in solar system. We do it with the cell of a man. You have to find out what field energy you have to create that condition of containment. Go back to one of the teachings, very early teachings, when we explained about the black box condition, where you can create a black box and put anything in it and you can carry it, doesn't matter what it is, and you cannot see it, you cannot read it. It could be liquid, it could be anything like an envelope. We do that by containing fields, containing energies. It's what we say, the knowledge of Professor Myers from Germany. Containing, what you call containing energy is understanding gravitational field forces. And you don't need a loop. You need to understand, without the loop, you can contain it. But you have to create a two-dimensional container without what I call material, physical boxing. Yes, you can. It's not only way the universe does it. If you say containment, how do we create the solar system? We contain the fields of the sun within its shell. It's very easy, but it's a technology which you will understand more and more of. It should not be that difficult. Containing plasma is one of the easiest things to do. Any other question?
É que o ensinamento dele que eu estava assistindo, aí tem uma parte que ele fala, né, em questão de conter o fluxo de plasma através de um loop infinito. Só que aí o ensinamento foi cortado, eu não consegui achar a continuação dele.
Você lembra qual é o ensinamento?
Foi de 2016, se eu não me engano. Depois eu vou olhar direitinho, eu te passo, eu não me recordo agora.
So Cristiano is just adding because he was listening one of your teachings in 2016. If he's not, maybe try to see which teaching this is specific. And you were saying this teaching about using the infinite loop to contain the fields. But in one point of the teaching, your audio seems to be cutting, so he was not able to understand more about it. So that's why he made this question.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Yeah, according to Cristiano, he said that in one of your teachings, early teachings in 2016, if I'm not wrong, he said that you were explaining how to contain the fields by using the infinite loop. And that's why he was questioning you about this today. Because
What happened? Yeah, I understand. If you look at the structure of a loop, it's containing or locking up two fields inside, which still have an interface. The only way, or most of the time, the only way to contain an energy field is a loop system. But you can give and take, and then you can contain it. And you all do this in maglev systems. When you do the winding, you create an infinity loop into infinity loop into another infinity loop, not by the coil turning, but what that nano coating creates for the fields to be contained inside. In the future, when the scientists will open and be able to go through your coils, you will see that between each turn, you have a different magnetic field strength. It's not all the same. If you, to contain a field and be able to sustain that containment, it's what in the world of creation we call trinity. Two stars, two systems, two, even if you look at the structure of the body of the man, in the skin you have a twin system. You have an outer skin with the inner skin, and what the middle skin, and then layer, and then the inner skin layer with the middle, where the inner and the outer create their own system of containing, and they hold. It's a containment of the plasma, and this repeats through all layers of the kidney, the heart. Everything follows the same pattern. Where the middle layer is the balance point, where the two outer are where they exchange energies, and for that create physicality, or physicality of the gans in a what we call physical state of the matter of the gans, which we call tissues, body tissues. This are the only ways you can do it, but if you do it in a long run and in a long layers, then you get the physical condition. In the future, many of your knowledge seekers will create machines that will make the skin out of fresh air, because you create that confining and balancing of the energy fields. You won't go for a skin craft. You put the gases in as knowledge scientists of the future. We create that condition on the skin, and immediately the skin repairs. You already do it when you get burnt. You use the gases and you see the burn sign, the mark is not there and disappears when if you do it straight away. It's a containment. You have to understand how to contain the plasma. And it comes from interaction, understanding the interaction of the fields, and what we call to be able to give and take, to be able to contain. So Trinity is the only option with it. Because when you're on your own, the energy goes out, nothing comes back in. Then you go what we call through a nuclear decay, or the division of the plasma not being able to sustain, or the expansion of the plasma because you absorb too much from outside. Any other question?
Posso continuar? Posso fazer mais uma pergunta?
So Cristiano is asking, he can make another question? Can he make another question?
Brazilians are the same as the others can have 2 questions, or 3 questions, or 4 questions.
Okay. Então, sim, Cristiano, brasileiros é a mesma coisa que os outros, podem ter mais do que 2 perguntas.
Obrigado. Eu gostaria que, se possível, o senhor Cash falasse um pouco mais, porque eu estava fazendo um link com o ensinamento do KSW 134, que eu estava estudando esses dias, e com a aula de saúde número 6, inclusive a doutora Cláudia falar sobre sábado agora, né? E que do sistema de conversão, né, do bombeamento do coração para o pulmão, e sistema de conversão do CO2 para o O2, né? E quer traduzir essa parte aí, rapaz?
Okay. So Cristiano is saying that he was studying the Knowledge Seeker Workshop 134. He was connected with the health teaching that you gave in public for us. It's the 6 health teachings. In this teaching, you were explaining about the conversion of the CO2 in the lungs to O2, what happened there. And then he will continue another question. Ok, pode continuar, Cristiano.
E no artigo do IC, eu vi uma vez que, através de um fluxo plasmático no cérebro, né, que cria, que prende a alma no centro da nossa cabeça, né? E no 134, o seu Cash falou a respeito de um fluxo entre 2 bobinas, né, e de alguma forma a gente tocar a energia deste loop infinito para poder conter este plasma. É isso que eu queria entender.
So, according to Cristiano, he said that in the same teaching, you speak about a flow that happens in the brain to contain and to lock down the soul in the center of the brain. So you also spoke about using, by concentrating this flow with 2 coils. And could you explain more about this flow in the brain that is containing the soul in the center of the brain?
The containment of the soul is due to the flow of the magnetic field in the case of the human race, the blood flow, which creates that containment. The soul of the man is Earth magnetic gravitational field strength, what we call balanced. So we are created out of the fields of this planet, which has a magnetic field strength at the level of what we call 4 carbons in a cosmic order, as we talked about, carbon 14, which connects the soul of the man to the universal community, to the outside the physical dimension of the body of the man. And the containment of it is impossible, but limiting the containment or the transfer of the field comes through the combination of the different shape and form of bending of the fields of the, what you call, magnetic field of the soul, by putting across carbon 14s in different strength in the structure of the amino acid of the brain. You cannot contain something if you don't create the fields of that it can be above but connected to. In the world of matter state, if you don't have the containment good enough, you cannot hold, for example, helium in a balloon. It'll seep through. If you can add another layer too that is finer that the atoms of helium cannot go through, you can contain the helium in the balloon. It's the same in the body of the man, in the brain. You have to have a containment which has got a connection to the field strength of the soul and the soul of physicality within the dimension of the plasma of the brain cells. And these, when you look at the cutting of the brain, you can see different layers. This is because of this creating different field strength to be able to stop or be able to interact. That in that interaction, we create different fields, emotions, and all sorts. The knowledge of creation is the same. It's just to be able to decipher how we get to that point. It's a chess game. And there are different ways to play the game, but at the end, if you conquer the understanding of the way, create a method that you can follow, you can checkmate or create a condition of the win or control. It's very simple. Any other question?
Dean is up next. Go ahead, Dean.
Thank you, Rick. Good evening, Mr. Keshe. My question would be, if I may ask, on a soul level, when the souls communicate and speak with each other, so if we want to, if we need to give some energy to a soul that in physicality needs this energy transfer, and we give that thought process to give this energy to this person, this being, do they receive, does the soul receive instantly in zero-time communication? Or is this a transfer that happens over some moments?
You can give. If it's not at the right strength of it, or is a different strength, it cannot be received. It cannot interact. Or maybe, as you said, it will take time. If you give it up the higher order, it has to interact with other things, and when it matches the lower order where you want it to go, yes, it will do. You always say, you can take, in English, you can take the horse to the water, but you cannot make it drink. Huh? You can give, but if the other side is not receivable, cannot receive it. And one day when he lowers down to the level of this, they understand. How many times, if you have children, you tell them things, you show them things, you show them a lot of love and everything, they don't understand. They have children, and then you see, they see what you did with them, and they tell you, I'm doing what you did to me. You showed me love, and it's the way I show love to my child. Doesn't mean he didn't understand. He received love maybe 40 years before. But now that he's there to give at the same level as you, he understands what love he received from you. And then he appreciates it. But it doesn't matter how much love I gave him 40 years ago, to him that was that, that's it. He had to do it. But now that he has a child, he sees what that love meant, because now he feels it. I watched my granddaughter in the past few days in London, and the way my son loves him, and I told him, he said, I remember the way, now I understand what you give him, what I give to my daughter. Because now they have they have to do the same. They're ready to decipher what they received 40, 30 years before. That time, it was nothing, it was obligation. But now they see the purity of the love you give to them. So you have to wait to receive it. Does it delay till they're ready for it? Or does it need to lose some and take some to get to that point at the point? It's beautiful when you become grandparents and you see how much love you give to your children and how they replicate that love to their children. And then they appreciate what they received after 30 years. So it was a delay of 30 years. Before that, it was not understood because they were not at that field of strength.
And so this field strength, Mr. Kesh, sorry to interrupt you. This field strength that is given in the matter state condition of this planet, it's given, as you said, 30 years ago, but in a universal condition.
It wasn't a matter state, it was an emotional state. It wasn't materialistic. It was a pure love of a father for a child.
Mm-hmm.
And because they know it, they've learned it, they can give it, and then they appreciate what it means.
So once we start that process, it installs itself within this person, and then they exchange this and give this field strength across, and it continues on once you start that seed off in the right way.
In a way, yes. In a way, yes. If you have a copy, if you got a platform of understanding, you carry on with that platform. If you don't have it, how do you want to follow it?
And this condition, Mr. Kesh, this field strength can be given in totality to mankind through
it's already been given to the mankind. Mankind is not ready for it to understand and receive it in totality. You will be amazed how much love and care and emotion and affection and energy has been put into this planet to mature its living citizens. Would you appreciate it? Would you come to understand it? Will you be enlightened to it? That's the question. Otherwise, it's a right given, not pleasure to understand, to enjoy that you have it. And then you can play with it. You speak to people who've been orphaned from a young age and try to explain to them loving and everything else if they're brought up in an orphanage. For many of them, it's very, very difficult. And the first person who show them the love and the respect, they will consider as a father. And this is how many world leaders choose the closest people to them from orphanages, or the people who've been orphaned, because they give them that love of father they didn't have and they look up with them. The ex-Shah of Iran was excellent at this. He gathered many orphans around him for his personal bodyguards, personal protection, and people who he could trust in certain key positions because he played the father's role, the love they couldn't get.
So that interaction of the father to the children, and obviously the mother as well, is vitally important.
Yeah, you see, in the church, you call it the father. Every Sunday, every prayer. What do you say? In the name of the Father, which gives to humans essence or human emotion. It's the one who protects me. It's the one who gives me love. If you look at it, the church has been well set understanding the psychology of the man.
And using that in an improper way.
Abuse of what we see as the church and others in their religion, abusing it. When you call it the name of the Father, you expect the Father to be kind and give you what you don't have. And that's why they put it there on the top of every time. And what you say at the end of it, Amen. Oh, I need that. That's what I miss. I hope I get it. They make a bigger out of the man for emotion of what is given by the Creator freely. Now you have a soul you know is free, then you look at it a different way.
I've noticed, Mr. Kesh, when I speak to many theologians, that many, from my experience, many that I speak to always say that this God is outside of themselves. And we, within the Universal Council and the teachings, say that very much the soul is within inside yourself. You're part of it. And I think that
This
has
is what we
that
taught you.
connection has a big thing, has a big position to play.
Yeah, that's what all the teaching of the Keshe Foundation has been. Man to be the what we call it, the point of connection with his own Creator without an intermediary. When you understand the work of your energy, when you understand the work of your soul, when you understand that you are free in essence of the creation, do you need an intermediary to lock up your physicality when this time pay patterns and penance and the rest of it? They have imprisoned the physicality of the man in the name of what they never understood, but they brought them to the what we call the slavery of the physicality.
And this
It's
position,
very
Mr. Kesh,
interesting.
has been in position for many thousands of years.
We allowed it. Yes, we allowed it. We allowed that, yes. Look at the present situation in the West, in England, or in Austria. The people went enough on the street what they wanted to force them to have injection. That they're talking that the minister who was trying to push this now is about to resign because people understood what was said for them in a different way by those who were trying to control them. The Austrians went on the streets every Sunday or whatever, and they pressurized them. We have more corona infected cases. Even today, nearly 40,000, but the government has taken all the shackles off because they realized people don't go for this anymore. So people became wise to their own freedom of their own life. And if you look at it, about a year ago, 3,000 was so much, we had to lock it down. 6,000 was impossible. We all of that. Today, figures just under 40,000. Well, 38,000 people infected in the past 24 hours. 40 people dead, but we're getting all our freedom. Because we understood the connection is the same in England. Lockdowns come everywhere else. We realized we cannot be controlled anymore. We have a freedom, we are wise people. There's a very big problem in the world of politics of today, especially in the West or around the world, is that the people who are in power are of the old generation. And they don't understand how the new generation can check things, can see things. It's not in the past that you were told and you listened and you followed. The youth generation and those who stay in touch and live along the new science and technology and everything else are well educated. They dictate to the governments what we want, and the old guard is losing battles. And some of the young ones who come in and they try to follow the job of the old guard, like the Prime Minister of Canada, run into problem. Because they think now we become dictators, we can push what we like. But sooner or later, we call it elections, you don't have a rule. People back up, but they don't forget. Or people push for their freedom to understand. The same should be with the religions, and then they find their freedom in not being enslaved to names and things which even the priests don't even understand what they read.
Thank you, Mr. Kess. Thank you for the love and care you always give to humanity. May I ask another question that's slightly different? So can I ask about, is there any messages or any information regarding the flight system? Is this still in a position to be available within the next few months?
We are working on it. We are working on it. We have a slight hiccup in one of the very small things which should be sorted out. Actually, it was good we didn't find a solution for it now. We found a better solution for it in the next couple of weeks. We are developing the technologies. We are fitting in, getting things done. The biggest problem for us at the moment in the Keshe Foundation is not the technology, is bringing peace with the use of technology. In bringing technology to US, bringing technology to Iran, to China, to Europe at the same time, and using each other's scientists to do so. This is what is the challenge, and in the next few weeks we'll overcome it. We don't usually announce anymore what we do, but building a structure through Keshe Foundation Space Institutes around the world, the foundation is already start moving in that direction. We want the space technology for 6th of June to be a collective work with all the scientists around the world. And it takes them less than 2 weeks to fly if we show them. It takes them less than a week to manufacture the systems in perfect condition test. But we have to unite them first before you test. Otherwise, you have the situation in Ukraine and the rest of it. The Vatican will try to dominate the others, and others try to escape, and one nation becomes the other, and the rest of it. We don't have a problem. You're welcome. We don't have a problem with the technology. Our problem is maybe next month or so to establish the Keshe Foundation Space Institute in Tehran, in Austria, in Arizona, and in Beijing. And most probably, I would love to see in Brazil and in Lagos.
I'm sure the Brazilian knowledge seekers will be very happy about this, Mr. Kess.
We will invest heavily into Brazil in the coming time. It's not the knowledge seekers, it's a big nation with 200 million population. Extremely well-educated people in many levels, and very hardworking people and knowledgeable. And we have seen it, they decide. One of the knowledge seekers who went wrong, thinking he's above everybody else, writing whatever he liked, was brought down on the Facebook this week by knowledge seekers. He thought he's untouchable because he supports the Belgians, and they wrote his Facebook down. Up done by the knowledge seekers, because they know what is a fact. Knowledge seekers start controlling what you call balancing, that other knowledge seekers don't go wrong with their own work. You saw this guy going through his head. He thinks I have the Belgians behind me, I can do. He lost his Facebook, he's given. We didn't need to do anything about the Brazilians, and they did it themselves for him.
Mr. Kess, it seems to me that what I'm witnessing and what I'm experiencing, that this knowledge is definitely spreading. The plasma is definitely becoming a bigger plasma, and affecting, and the field strength is definitely gathering momentum around the planet. And I've noticed that many people that I speak to have become aware of the foundation, and aware of the foundation's ethos, and the fact that we are messengers of peace, and that we come here to help humanity, and we are present in every moment, bringing through this technology that can enhance and help in many different applications.
In a coming time, I'll explain to the knowledge seekers worldwide how what you say has changed towards the Keshe Foundation. Institutions, governments have started supporting the Keshe Foundation the way it should have been done some 10 years ago. The way that you should have shared the knowledge and would have all been benefited by it. And how now they have realized how they've been lied to, cheated by, and abused in a way by, again, the certain nation we all know. It will be interesting to see what the world leaders will start doing when we start showing the flight system. What would be the reaction of this? These are getting built. It's beautiful. When I was in the factory this afternoon, it's amazing how Klaus, thanks to all his effort, has brought beautiful production into operation that it cannot be stopped. It's a continuous production. We have become a structure that we continuously produce reactors for the space, for everything else. We got into mass production, but what to say, we learned how to walk, and now we can run. It's a pleasure. I thanked Klaus today for his beautiful effort, what he has achieved and what he's done. And we don't have knowledge seekers. We have only one knowledge seeker I saw today in the factory. The rest are common people, not knowledge seekers. And they're doing a beautiful job.
Are they affected by the fields, Mr. Keshe? Are they?
I presume so. I presume so. That building is flooded with fields. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much for answering my questions. Thank you.
We have a question in the chat from Mark Anderson, who says, did I hear you say a soap could be developed if you were clever enough to absorb the fields of knowledge from the universe, or from the soul of the fields of knowledge? It seems much simpler than learning from whiteboards and telegrams. You mentioned this in passing. It appears beyond our belief or simple understanding how this could be possible, or in our future application. Would this apply to other products as well?
The whole plan of the Keshe Foundation is to walk away from matter states. In the coming time, creating fields which control fields, the fields which create condition of the fields which is needed. Once we reach that point, we reach the point of maturity of understanding a living what you call entity. With building aircrafts and enhancement units, we're still doing what our body does. We use dimension of more or less semi-physicality, like the brain of the man, to contain the soul of the man, which is free within it to travel it. When in a very near future, I think we're about maybe 12 months away from it, maybe a little bit more, maybe 2 years, creating enhancement units which have no dimension of physicality. when you see a UFO has a physicality. So it means these people have not jumped into the border of understanding of a plasma in a deeper way, where we taught the human race different. And I see once the space technology gathers momentum and world scientists get to it, having systems which can fly you without physical shell by creating fields which creates that condition of holding or transportation, we will see this coming up. You will see this to be part of the human race normal, what we call operation. It will be very hard to create rulers and religious leaders in the next 5 or 10 years. Because the man will, one of the reasons they stopped the Keshe Foundation is that we are bringing such a technology that frees the man from the abuse and force what we call imprisonment of the knowledge and technologies that they could control. Now it cannot be done. You all can do it. I can tell you in 1 second how you can create carbon-14 and create space development motion. You, 90% of you who work in the labs in your kitchen will make it in no time. Put it this way, you all have made it, but you missed it. You all have made it. Any of you who has produced gases in past years have already made it. You just don't know how to connect. You don't see the connection of it. Shall we call it a day? It's a bit late tonight. Sorry about this time being into 6 o'clock. Hopefully this is the last time. At least for a long time. Hope that we have changed the time of the teaching. It will not happen, hopefully, again, as long as, unless situation changes. We had to handle certain things that only happen on Thursdays, and now it's over. And we'll go back to 9 o'clock Central European time for a foreseeable time. As we see, it should not be no interference unless something happens in between. And we try to teach directly. As I said, tonight I'll be assigning documents that starts the process of one of the largest manufacturing companies of the Keshe Foundation in the nation of Romania. How we would like to thank the Romanians for supporting us, especially our lawyers team and everybody who's around us. We hope this will be the next step for expansion of the Keshe Foundation, not only in Romania, but in Eastern Europe. The same we hope to be in Austria and in the United States, and we'll see where we go. Thank you very much. And we'll see each other hopefully next week on Thursday at 9 o'clock.
All right, very good, Mr. Keshe. Once again, another wonderful workshop here for us all. I thank you, and thank you to the knowledge seekers who asked questions today, and for everyone for attending today's 422nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, March 3rd, 2022. We do have the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace coming up on Tuesday, March 15th. And that starts at 4 p.m. Central European time.